If you had to like rank levels of toxicity, because you just told me foreclosure, like you pretty much had to sell your soul. We talked about covering a criminal case. Those are, if you're like a criminal defense attorney, that's pretty dark.
Yeah.
Divorce sounds like it's pretty dark. How do you rank them?
The one man that I felt bad for, the only one guy, was an old man who called me, and he said, Thomas, I have 6 properties here, foreclosing on all of them, and I have burned my retirement $250,000. Old man, he sounded like he was close to 80. And that's the one man I truly felt bad for. I told him, sometimes doing the right thing is not the right thing.
What do you mean by that? Sometimes doing the right thing is not the right thing. You came from a communist country, right? Yeah. So that's a good example, right? So for example, communist country,
First Amendment.
First Amendment. There's no First Amendment.
Doesn't exist.
Guy commits a crime, or a woman commits a crime. Government could do whatever they want with you.
Yes.
Versus here in the States, you have that right.
You have First Amendment rights, which is, I think, the most fundamental right in the United States of America. Without the First Amendment, they say Second Amendment protects the First Amendment. I don't want to get that far, but the First Amendment right in America is very, very powerful, and it is a gift to the people. A big portion of what we do is real estate closings, so obviously there was an influx of real estate closings in the state of Florida.
So business skyrocketed for you.
Yes. And now with the election of...
now you're starting to hit the glory, right? You've been grinding all these years as a foreclosure attorney making no money, and now you get this... I mean, is that really when you started making money?
So when you start on your own, you hang your shingle, so to speak, there's nobody there who wants you.
Right.
Nobody,
they're like, who are you?
Nobody knows you.
Right. And now I'm thinking to myself, like, okay, the World Cup is coming here next year, right? You're going to have people from all over the world coming here.
Right.
Are people going to want to come to the United States with all these crazy immigration laws?
I'm going to answer this question as an immigrant, because I wasn't born and raised in this
you weren't
country.
born here.
Right. I'm going to answer it as an immigrant, and I'm going to answer it as...
Hey everyone, I'm Joe Rothbard, and welcome to The Grind and the Glory. This is where we talk about the hustle behind the headlines and real stories behind the success. This is The Grind and the Glory. Now let's go.
Welcome to The Grind and the Glory. This is episode 5. Excited to be here. We have an exciting guest today. His name is Tomas Kucera, and he is an attorney for over 18 years. He's originally from the Czech Republic, and we're going to hear about his story and how his grind and his glory and how he came to the U.S. And we're going to learn some fascinating things about all types of law. He specializes in, what do you specialize in?
I specialize mainly in real estate, transactional law, civil litigation.
But you're a lawyer.
Yes.
Right. So
Yes.
you cover, I mean, if I needed to hire you for divorce, or if I needed to hire you for, some kind of mediation,
Yes.
or I needed to hire you for employment, you technically could do that.
Absolutely, yes.
Okay. He's a full lawyer. So thank you for coming on the show.
Well, thank you for having me.
Yeah. You look good, man.
Thank
You look
you.
good. Is your first time doing a podcast?
It is my first time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How do you feel?
A little nervous, but relaxed.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
we have plenty of cocktails if you.
I know. I had to decline because of my antibiotics, but
Why are you on antibiotics?
I'll have some infection in my belly, and so this is my second day of heavy antibiotics. So I was strongly advised by the physician not to drink any alcohol. Otherwise, yes, I would be drinking.
I'm the worst. Like when they tell me, look, you're on antibiotics, I'm like, fuck it, I'm gonna have a drink anyway. So I've never had that experience where I've gotten so sick, and I'm not in any way condoning that you should drink if you're on antibiotics, but I tend to always have at least one, and I seem to do okay. I've never gotten to the point where I gotten so sick.
Maybe it's a good idea. Maybe I should have.
No, you're probably smarter than me for not doing that. So anyway, Tom, why don't you tell? Is it Tom or Tomas? How do you go by?
Tom, Tommy, Tomas, Tom Ass, anything you want.
Tom Ass. Okay,
Yeah.
I like Tom Ass.
Yeah.
All right.
I've been called all. So.
Yeah. So you're from the Czech Republic.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And how long have you been here in the States?
So I came here in 1997 from the Czech Republic. Nowadays they're trying to call it Czechia. Born and raised in Czechoslovakia, which
Czechoslovakia was the old
Correct.
name,
Correct.
correct? Right,
Correct.
right.
So we ceased to be Czechoslovakia now. Don't quote me. I think it's 1993, after the referendum of the two nations. So born and raised in Czechoslovakia, a communist country,
Hmm.
ceased to be communist in 1989. Around the fall of the Berlin Wall.
I
And
didn't know Czechoslovakia was communist.
yeah,
My father's from Poland, and Poland was a communist country.
correct.
How long was Czechoslovakia a communist country?
It was more or less the same as Poland.
Really?
Eastern Germany, Poland, Hungary, the Czechoslovakia, the communist regime fell
So
off.
after World War II, a lot of those countries became communist.
Correct. 1945, yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
And it was under heavy influence of Soviet Union at that time. So Poland, Hungary, East Germany, and
Both of your parents are Czechoslovakian?
they were, yeah. They passed, but yes,
Okay.
they were, yeah.
Okay. Did they pass a long time ago or recently?
So my dad passed when I was 15, so quite a while.
Mhm.
I'm rather old now. And
How old are you? You don't look that old.
oh well, I just turned 51.
You're 51?
Yeah.
Dude, you look good for 51. I'm
Thank
younger
you.
than you.
Oh wow.
I feel older than you. I thought you were like 38, 39.
Oh wow. Please, everybody, listen to that.
No, I thought you were younger. Wow. Okay. So
Yeah, I just turned 51 as a
you
matter of
look
fact.
like, how do you stay like? I mean, for 51-year-old, you look pretty good. You have full head of hair. I don't see a lot of wrinkles. Like you seem like you're in good. Like you do jujitsu
Yes,
too, right? That's your
yes,
sport.
yes, I do Brazilian
What do you
Jiu-Jitsu.
think? You just have good genes?
I think
Because
no,
I know
I
some
don't.
51-year-olds that look like they're fucking 70 years
Yeah,
old.
I don't. I don't know if it's the genes because the Czechs don't necessarily have good genes for aging gracefully, so to speak.
Right.
But I think your state of mind and taking care of yourself, and I did since I was young. I always did sports. I was a hockey player, competitive hockey player. I always eat well, don't drink much, don't smoke,
Good for you.
and I'm still a kid. I'm
Deep down.
yeah, I'm a kid in prison in a man's body.
Right.
That's really where I am. So maybe that's what
I
keeps me
feel
younger
you, man.
looking.
I feel you. I can relate.
So perhaps that's the recipe. I don't know.
Yeah. So okay, so you grew up in Czechoslovakia,
Yes.
and I mean, when did you leave Czechoslovakia? Well, before we get into that,
Yeah.
so like, okay, so your parents, like, what did you do growing up? Did you play any sports or like what were you doing growing
Yeah.
up?
So my brother and I were twins.
Okay.
Fraternal twins.
Okay.
We played competitive ice hockey, which is the
So you're a
second.
hockey player.
Yes,
Okay.
correct. It is still the second most popular sport.
Slovaks always have good hockey players.
Yes, and
Yeah.
so do Czechs.
Right.
So do Czechs. So
I keep forgetting that there's Slovakia and there's Czech.
Yeah,
So I bunch them into one, but they're both.
yes.
Okay. So you were a hockey player
Yes.
for
For about 10 years.
okay. Okay.
And then
It's still Czechoslovakia at this point, right?
Actually, that's a good question.
When did it become like I can't remember when they split off.
I think it was 1993.
93.
95 or 93. I think it was
That's right.
1993.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's right. Okay.
And they literally asked the citizens of the countries to cast a vote whether or not they want to stay Czechoslovakia or split into the Czech Republic and Slovakia.
Okay.
And the majority ruled in splitting up. So now you have the Czech Republic with about 10 million people and Slovakia with about 5 million people.
You think
So,
they'll ever like get
No.
back together?
no.
Why? Religion?
Well, nobody's complaining. The Slovaks have adopted the euro currency. The Czechs did not, which I think served better the Czech Republic. And
So what's the currency in the Czech Republic? If I go there.
Czech koruna, which means
Czech
like
koruna.
crown. It's like a Swedish.
So would the
crown.
dollar go far in Czech Republic?
Yeah, you get about 22 korunas for $1.
I was just in London,
Right.
like, and I think I went to the bank to convert like 500 US dollars. I only got like 350 euro.
No,
I was
it's
like,
British
this is
pounds. British
shit.
pounds
No, it was euro.
in London. They
Was it? Wait, what?
Yeah, they still maintain the British pound.
No, I'm sorry. It was pounds.
Yes.
So it was 350
Yes.
pounds till I was like, this sucks.
Yeah.
So the dollar was like very weak in London. How would it be in Czech Republic if I went there? Because everyone's telling me you got to go to Czech Republic. It's like
Yeah.
a great city.
It is.
Prague is amazing. I've never
It
been.
is. It is. It is one of the most charming cities in the whole Europe.
So like with $1,000 in
You're gonna get about 20 to 22,000 korunas, and it goes a little further than it goes here,
Mhm.
especially if you leave the city of Prague. Once you go outside of Prague, which is kind
And
of
I've heard Prague is beautiful.
it is.
It's like one of the most beautiful cities in Europe,
It
right?
truly is very charming. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. All right. So you're growing up, you're playing hockey with your brother. and he's your twin brother, you
He's
said,
my
right?
twin brother. Yeah.
He looks exactly like you?
No, fraternal.
Oh, just fraternal. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So you're playing hockey and then what?
So playing hockey, and I started high school, and hockey no longer was doing it for me, and so I stopped.
So you weren't that good. No, I don't mean that in a bad
I
way. I'm
want to
just
say I was
saying.
average.
You were an average player.
I was an average
Yeah, because
player.
there were some great Czech play. I can't remember names right now, but
Yeah.
there were some fantastic hockey play. I was a huge hockey fan growing up. I grew up in New Jersey,
Okay.
and I was a big New York Islanders fan. And there was
Yeah,
always
Jaromir Jagr
Jaromir Jagr played for
for Penguins.
Pittsburgh Penguins. Yeah,
Penguins. Yeah.
But I was a big New York Rangers fan, and they had this was the days of Tomas Sandstrom, who was from Sweden,
Mm-hmm.
number 28, my favorite player. I'll never forget. Tony Granato, he was a great player. He got traded to the LA Kings for Bernie Nichols.
Right.
When that happened, I no longer became a Ranger fan, and my father converted me to become a New York Islanders fan.
Right.
So I was a huge hockey fan growing up. Then I moved to Miami, and it's like, fucking, you're in palm trees. It's like, it's just hard to get into hockey down here.
Yeah.
So anyway, so I'm sorry, I digress. So you and your brother playing hockey, you stopped playing hockey.
Yeah.
How old are you now?
I'm 51.
No, now you're 51.
Oh, I'm
How old are
sorry.
when you stopped playing?
Oh, I see. I was 15, 16.
Okay.
So we played from 5 to 15 or 16, about 10 years, 10, 11 years.
Mhm.
And then I'm in high school, and I guess, lifting weights. That was my new thing. I wanted to be big and strong, you know.
Okay.
And my brother did too. So till
Okay.
today, he lifts heavy, you know.
Okay.
He looks like a
Yeah, I mean, you're
Russian.
like a buff guy. I could tell.
Thank you.
You got.
Yeah, well, you should see my brother. He looks like a Russian debt enforcer.
Oh, really?
Yeah, tattoos from neck to his ankles, and
Oh, shit.
yeah, we're
And
twins.
where is he?
but-
Is he here in
No,
Florida?
no,
too?
he still lives in Prague.
Oh, he's in Prague.
Yeah, he's in
Okay,
Prague,
Cool,
yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
All right.
So,
So
and
you were lifting weights.
yeah, I was lifting weights. I was going to high school. About third year of high school, I fell in love with a girl. She was my first big love, and yeah, I just dropped out of high school. You know, didn't care much about the school. Um, care about her, and school was very, very secondary, or actually tertiary, and so I didn't finish high school. You know, and
In Czech Republic.
in the Czech Republic.
So what did did you go work? Like,
Yeah. I worked some terrible jobs. I was a baker working night shifts, you know,
Okay.
from 7 p.m. to 7 a.m.
How long did you do that?
About 4 months. I was making about $250 a month. It was horrendous.
Okay.
And around that time, I figured I got to do something with my life. And
So you're how old at this point? You're
at that time, I was about 19.
19.
Yeah,
Okay.
19,
So you're
20.
19 years old,
Yeah.
dropped out of high school.
Yeah.
You're like, I got to do something different.
Yeah.
I'm going to come to the U.S.
It didn't come to me at that time yet, but I knew I needed to do something about my life.
Okay.
And so I started reading some
Were you
literature.
still living at home with your parents?
Yeah,
or?
with my mom. Yeah, I
Okay.
couldn't afford anything else.
Right.
So, and I remember I got a better job. I worked in a hotel in Prague. I started making some decent money. And
Doing
by
what?
decent,
Like, what were you doing?
I was a front desk receptionist.
Okay.
And so I was making a decent amount of money where I could sustain myself. You know, buy food, some clothes, pay rent. And around that time, we're watching a movie in the theater, watching the movie Heat. Al Pacino, Robert De Niro.
I love that movie.
Yeah, one of the best
Yeah.
action movies ever. And during that movie, it came to me, just out of thin air. You know, I want to go to the United States. Crazy.
From that movie?
Yes. I don't.
But that movie's about De Niro
I know.
trying to kill. No, Pacino's trying to kill De Niro.
Yes, and De Niro is a bank robber with his team of Tom Sizemore, Val Kilmer, you know, Danny Trejo.
Were you like, I want to come be in background?
No. It's just it was, you know, it was just I was always kind of looking towards the United States, and I like the American movies. And during that one, I just got the idea. It just came to me. You know,
You know, it's funny. Like everyone from Europe, it's funny. Like you guys are like a little behind on the movies,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
So like, I remember every time I would go to Europe, because I lived in Europe for a while, you would see movies from like 5 years ago showing and everyone's like, oh, this is the greatest movie. And I'm like, dude, that movie came out like 5 fucking years ago.
Yeah.
So when you watched Heat, that didn't just come out. That had been out. Wasn't it?
No. Actually, it is a 1995 movie, I think, and it was about 1995. So
Okay,
that movie
okay,
came more or less contemporaneously with the United States, I think.
okay.
Yeah.
So you saw the movie Heat,
Yeah.
and you're just like, man, Al Pacino, Robert De Niro, I want to come to the U.S.
Yeah,
Did you want to be an actor?
no,
Like,
well, I just wanted to start a new life, and it just I cannot explain what it was,
yeah.
but from that moment on, that evening, it was in my head. I started learning
What about
English.
your girl in Prague? Weren't you still with a girl?
At that time, I didn't have a girlfriend,
Okay.
and I did meet one after,
Hmm.
and I told her from the very beginning, hey, listen, I want to go to the United States,
Okay.
so keep it in mind when we start dating. And she said, yeah. I was sick and tired of the Czech winters. I mean,
You wanted to go somewhere warm.
yeah.
But you're a hockey player. I mean, you like the cold.
Yeah, no. I remember 1996, December. I said, this is my last winter in this country.
But have you ever been somewhere warm to like want to be in a warm climate?
Um,
Because look, I'm from Jersey. I love the cold.
yeah,
Like, give me snow any day. Like, I'm one of those oddballs. Like, I'm here in Miami.
yeah,
I fucking hate the warm weather here.
yeah.
Like, today it's like, I think it's like what, 60 something degrees.
Yes.
I was in heaven. Like,
Yeah.
I love the cold weather, but you actually wanted to get away from the cold.
Yeah, yeah. 60 is not bad, but when you get -10,
I love that
0
shit.
Fahrenheit,
I love that. The colder it is, the better.
I like it when I go to Colorado for a skiing trip,
Yeah.
but to live in it,
You just like to, right? You don't like shoveling snow. You don't like any. See, I love doing that shit. Like I'm one of the weird ones like that.
it was too much for me.
Yeah.
And so I ended up in Miami, and my first job that I found was pet grooming. I was cleaning dogs, squeezing their anal glands,
Mhm.
disgusting. But at that time, I was gladly doing it because it was my first job, and I started learning English. I went to Lindsay Hopkins Educational Center here in Miami
Yeah.
to learn the first English phrases and stuff, and that's why I also prepare for my GED to get my high school diploma.
So you were here, didn't speak a lick of English.
Yeah.
You didn't even finish school in the Czech Republic.
Correct.
You were staying in some dude's house
Yeah.
in Key Biscayne.
Yeah.
And you're just trying to like figure out how to make a buck.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. It was a struggle.
You had no family here. You had no one here to help you. You basically were just on your own.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
You knew that one guy, that one American
Yeah.
guy that you knew.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're working as a pet groomer.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. I was
I'm trying to like see, when do you become a lawyer? Like, how
So
do we get there?
I was a pet groomer. I eventually I took my GED, which is the equivalent of a high school diploma, and
Right.
that gave me the entrance into college, Miami-Dade Community College at that time.
Okay.
And I knew I wanted to have a new start. Didn't finish high school, and I met some really important people in my life at that time. And it's funny that I think when your intentions are pure and you really try hard,
When you say meet important people, who did you meet?
my friends that are my friends still today that helped me.
Okay.
GED, for example. At that time, I was unable to take a GED test unless you also had a social security number, and I didn't have one. And this friend of mine was able to make tons of phone calls, found one place somewhere in Fort Lauderdale where I could take my GED, and that's what opened up the door to get to Miami-Dade Community College at that time.
Okay. Okay.
And about second year of college, I made the decision to go to law school because another good friend of mine was a lawyer, and he always tell me, "Yeah, you can do it, you can do it." So, and then as the decision,
Yeah, but you hold on.
yeah,
So you go get your GED.
yeah.
How do you go from GED to law school?
Well, it wasn't that quick. So
'Cause
first,
don't you have to go to college?
correct. So
Right.
I went to Miami-Dade. I finished that in 2 years. Then I transferred to Florida Atlantic University in
Okay,
Boca.
FAU.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Okay.
At that
So you
time,
got a 4-year degree.
yes,
Okay. What
yes.
was your degree in?
International business.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And then from there, you're like, I want to be a lawyer.
Yes. But I knew it like a year and a half before I finished my bachelor's degree. You had
Okay.
kind of make the decision. And so then I got into law school and I got my JD, which is the law degree, and I did it the joint degree, so also JD MBA. And I graduated with MBA and JD in 2006.
2006.
Yeah.
So once you had your JD, technically you're a lawyer.
No, not yet. You have
Okay.
to then
Did take the bar.
take the bar. Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Did you pass the bar?
I passed the bar on the second try.
So you failed on the
I
first
failed
try.
the first time by half a point
How did you
because
feel when you failed the bar?
I knew I shouldn't have played basketball instead of studying for the bar.
So you okay, hold on. All right, let's talk about this. So you You come to this country, you have nothing, you're trying to figure it out, you go to school, you end up, graduating, you get a 4-year degree, you're like, I'm gonna go take my bar. You're kind of like trying to build the American dream. Like when you were in college, were you working or no?
Yes, always,
Okay.
always,
You
yeah,
always had a job.
always
Okay.
had a
So
job.
were you still like doing the pet group? Like what were you doing?
I was, let's see, I was working as a waiter for 2 years. I worked construction for two
Right. So you
years.
were doing any kind of job just
Yes,
to survive,
yes,
right?
yes,
Okay. So you graduate, you go to take the bar,
yes.
right? Why didn't you pass?
So, you have about 3 months to study for the Florida bar,
Right?
and they tell you you devote every single day of those 3 months to study for the bar. It's a sprint that lasts three
Were
months.
you like fucking around? Like,
Yeah, I went to St. Thomas Law,
okay.
and my mistake was that I would study in St. Thomas Law, and there are a few buddies there, and sometimes we play basketball instead of studying for the bar. I got distracted.
By playing basketball?
Yeah, you
Did
should
you
be.
go out? Let me ask you, did you party and that's why you didn't pass the
No,
bar?
no, I'm telling you the truth.
Oh, okay. I'm just saying, like,
Telling the truth.
because if I would fail something, it was usually because I went out and I partied
Yeah,
and I didn't take it
yeah.
seriously. So you're saying you didn't pass because you were playing basketball.
I didn't. I yeah. I didn't put in the work that I should have.
Okay.
That is the honest answer.
Okay.
So when I studied for the bar the second time, I studied at Nova University where I didn't know anyone, and I just killed it. I passed with a score that
What was the score you had on the first time?
ah,
Like what? Like
I think you
what's the
need one.
score?
I don't know if they changed it now. I think you needed 145 combined to pass, and I got 135 and a half,
So you were like right there.
half a point.
Okay.
And then the second time, I think I got 167.
What's the highest score you could get on the bar?
I don't know. I know nobody gets perfect score. It's like with the LSAT exam.
But you passed.
Uh, Flying colors.
Flying colors in the
But they
second
don't
time.
care.
Hey,
Either
dude,
you
don't
pass
feel
or
bad.
fail.
I failed my driver's license test the first time. Like like I'll never forget the shame I felt. Like I actually cried like a bitch
Yeah.
when I failed my driver's license test.
Yeah.
Like I thought I was never going to get my driver's license, and eventually I did. So I mean, whatever, you fail,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
part of it.
Yeah.
So okay, so you get your bar, right? You take the exam, you pass.
Yeah.
Now you're a lawyer.
Yes.
Okay.
Then you're a lawyer. Officially Florida licensed attorney. Yes.
So you're an attorney.
Yes.
Okay. So now you got to open up a practice.
You can. I didn't. I entered the workplace when there were no jobs, with the exception of foreclosure attorneys. This is 2007. The real estate crisis is collapsing. Everything is falling down. The only law firms that are hiring are foreclosure law firms,
Okay.
and that was my first job for 2 years. I was foreclosing.
Like you went in as like a junior lawyer.
Yeah,
Okay.
junior associate. I started from startup. I didn't know. You graduate out of law school, you really don't know how to practice law.
Right. Right.
You know legal principles. You know how to think critically, so to speak. But you're not a lawyer, practicing lawyer. You just don't know. So I started my legal career as a foreclosure attorney for the largest foreclosure law firm in the state of Florida at that
And
time.
at that time, there was a lot of foreclosures going on.
We
This was 2007, right?
seven,
Yeah, I'm remembering that.
we grew from I believe 150 employees to 1,500 in 2 years.
How much?
Yeah, from about 150 employees to 1,500 employees in about 2 years.
There was that many foreclosures back then?
It was exploding. It was exploding.
So
So
business was good.
yes, yes. For
But
the
you were a
owner,
junior attorney.
yeah, and I was just making salary.
So they just paid you a salary. You
That's
didn't
it.
get a commission on any of those things, right?
No.
But still, you were getting the experience of being in all these foreclosure
Yes,
cases,
yes.
right?
I have foreclosed on, unfortunately to say, on thousands of people in Florida, from Key West all the way to Pensacola.
And foreclosure is that's a pretty fucked up thing. Like, a family
Yeah.
goes, they buy a house,
Yeah.
they're trying to make a life.
Yeah.
The husband or the wife loses their job, their income goes to shit. They got in over their heads, they got a mortgage that they couldn't afford, and now they're gonna foreclose on the property.
Yes, and I was.
So
I
you
was,
were the
I was
guy
the man.
doing what?
I was the one doing it.
like basically getting them out of the house.
Yes. We filed a
So like your
foreclosure.
clients were like Chase,
Wells Fargo,
Wells
yeah,
Fargo, JP
City,
Morgan,
yeah,
and you would be the one representing them, and
yes.
your job was to get these people out of the
Take
house.
their house away from them.
So you were a motherfucker.
Yeah, and you know what it feels like?
And I don't mean that in a bad way,
No,
but
I know.
if I'm the guy, the husband or the wife or the person that's bought the house, right? And someone's trying to foreclose on my
Yeah.
house, right? You're the attorney that's actually making that happen behind the scenes.
Yes. And you know what it feels like? I have a friend who's a firefighter, and she's been a firefighter for 20 something years.
Okay.
And she told me about 6 months ago there was an accident. This is Broward County, and there were two people that burned in the vehicle, and they still smelled
The corpse?
burning flesh,
Okay.
and there's nothing they could have done. They
Right.
were burnt to crisp. And so when they came in, they saw there's nothing we can do. They said, "Hey, I feel like eating some barbecue."
That's you.
And when you foreclose on thousands of people,
You
you
become
become
numb.
jaded. You become numb.
You become numb.
like
Amen.
just
Dude, I
another
can
one.
relate. I
I
can
will
relate.
tell you, there are a few phone calls I remember throughout the 2 years where I foreclosed on thousands of people. One of them, she was a waitress from Key West, bought a $500,000 house. This is pre-COVID money. IHOP waitress. This just shows you that they truly gave loans to anybody. But the one man that I felt bad for, the only one guy, was an old man who called me, and he said, "Thomas, I have 6 properties. You're foreclosing on all of them, and I have burned my retirement $250,000." Old man, he sounded like he was close to 80.
Right.
I have paid your mortgages, but I have nothing left. And I told him straight up, "You shouldn't have. You should have let them go and keep your $250,000 for your retirement." And he goes, "But I always try to do the right thing." And that's the one man I truly felt bad for. I told him sometimes doing the right thing is not the right thing. Because the bank,
What do you mean by that? Sometimes doing the right thing is not the right thing.
see, the banks that I represented didn't feel a pinch, right? I foreclosed on six of his properties. Him wasting his $250,000 of retirement money made no difference to Wells Fargo, City, Chase.
They didn't care.
Zero. It means nothing to them. Those
Right.
are multi-billion-dollar companies. To him, it meant everything. And so what
But why did you feel bad? I mean, you're just doing your job.
I felt the sorrow in his voice, and the thing is, like, I was in my 30s, even now I still feel young. This man sounded broken. He was in his probably late 70s, early
Does it still
80s.
bother you to this day?
I use this example often, that out of all these foreclosures that I have handled, there's one that I felt bad. And unfortunately, he called me when he wasted all his money, because if he called me at the beginning and he told me his story, I would tell him, well, hypothetically, I would tell him, do not pay, save your money. We would never come after you anyway, because we never came out of what's called deficiency judgments, which means property gets sold, the bank is not made whole, and we
Yeah.
can come after you for the difference. Back then, that wasn't a thing. So that's the one phone call I remember, and it still resonates with me today. I don't know if he's still alive. This is, 15 years ago or something. I don't even know.
It seems like it still haunts you a little
Yeah,
bit.
yeah, and there's nothing I could have done. If it wasn't me, it would be my colleague next door, that foreclosed on him. But that's one out of, I don't know, maybe tens of thousands of people I have foreclosed on that just resonates with me. I feel bad for. I felt then, and I still do
And
today.
the others you didn't feel bad for?
It just didn't come to my attention. A lot of people were speculators. It wasn't even their primary residence, and and a lot of them did stop paying immediately, and then they start renting the properties without paying the mortgage, paying the HOA, and actually
you're
were
like,
making
"Screw
money.
it."
Yeah, they were making money, and they hired an attorney, paid him monthly, and they stretched out the foreclosure for 2 or 3 years. And for those months, they were making thousands of dollars in rent, while we were trying to foreclose. So
So
this,
when you foreclosed on
yeah,
a property, you just got your salary? You didn't get like a bump or a bonus or
no,
anything?
no. We were a mill.
You
We
were
were a
a mill.
Henry Ford factory.
Sounds brutal,
Yeah, but that's the way it was done
but
then.
that's what molded you, right?
Yes, that was my first job, and I guess, yeah, in
So
a way
you
it
were a ruthless foreclosure attorney. No, I'm just, that's how you started your career,
right,
right?
right.
Okay, so okay, you're a foreclosure and man, attorneys, man, like, you know, attorneys have a stigma about them. You know that,
Yes, I
right?
do.
Right?
I do.
Like, when I talk to an attorney, I am like counting the seconds. I'm like, oh shit.
Yeah.
When they breathe, they're gonna fucking charge you.
Right.
Right? And I've had those experiences. It's like, hey, Joe, how are you? Oh shit, it's an attorney. I'm gonna get charged.
You're getting billed.
Right? I'm getting billed. And then I get a fucking bill.
Yeah.
I'm like, bro, you breathed. Why are you charging me? But like,
Yeah.
because we had a conversation.
Yeah.
And it's like, they'll call and I'll be like, goes to voicemail. I don't want to talk to them because I don't want to freaking pay the bill. So like, why do attorneys have this like stigma? Like, what is this about?
Well, I don't know where to start with this. A lot of people go into law school and to be an attorney for only one reason, and that's called financial betterment. Okay, and I don't think that should be enough. I truly don't think so.
Meaning you go to be a lawyer because you want to have a better financial life.
Correct.
Right.
Correct.
My mom used to tell me, she's like, you should become a lawyer.
Yeah.
Because you got the gift of gab. Because I was always good at speaking. I was always good at bullshitting.
Right.
So she's like, you should be a lawyer.
Right.
But I was like, no, I don't want to be a lawyer.
Right. Right.
So anyway, so
they go into it for the money. And if that's the sole reason, I don't believe number one is going to make them happy in the long run, which is why.
Why? Because of the hours?
It's just you're doing something you don't enjoy, but for the money. And I think that goes with anything in life. If you do it for the wrong reason, and I mean solely, I'm not saying don't go to law school because you think you're going to make a difference and make money. I think that's fine. But if you go in just for the money, then again, like everything in life, if you're doing it for the wrong reason, eventually you will, I think, pay the price. Which I think is why legal industry, including judges, by the way, is very, very high in substance abuse.
Really?
Oh yeah.
So you're saying a lot of lawyers, like they take drugs?
Yeah, alcohol, drugs, it's
Why? To kind of numb what they're having to do?
and they yeah, and
For example, like if you're a lawyer that represents a murderer,
right.
right? To go to sleep at night knowing that you're defending a murderer that killed someone,
Right.
right? And you got to get them off. You got to, hopefully they don't get, the chair,
Right.
or they get a light sentence.
Right.
You've got to convince the judge and the jury
Yeah.
that this person murdered them because they were mentally ill or
Right.
whatever the case is.
Right.
Your mind has to go to a certain place
Right.
to convince yourself to be like, hey, I know this guy's a scumbag or this woman's a scumbag for killing all these people, but I've got to go and now like try to convince a judge that they were mentally ill or they didn't know what they were doing. Right?
No,
I mean,
but
is that a good example?
I think there's more to it than that.
Like what?
Okay, I think one thing is that I don't believe any lawyer likes to lose. So it's a little bit of an ego thing.
So it's competition.
Number one. Number
Okay.
two, a lot of criminal defense attorneys. You just mentioned a criminal case. So criminal defense attorneys, they know they will lose. If it's a slam dunk case for the prosecution, they know they will lose, but they are trying to lessen the sentence for him, and there's a social reason behind that as well.
What's the social reason?
So there's a saying that says, let me not screw it up. There's a saying that says, it is better to let 10 guilty men go than one innocent man being convicted of a crime. Okay? And the thing about government, and this is, I have a lot of friends of mine that are law enforcement, and they're fine law enforcement people. And I know the judges, and a lot of them are very fine judges. Having said that, the government, whether it's local or federal, tends to become, if unchecked, and this goes throughout the world, not just in the United States.
Okay.
If unchecked, tends to become draconian. Okay. And
draconian.
Yeah.
What do you mean by draconian?
Usurp your rights, overstep their boundaries. Okay. And you see it on.
Give me an example.
Okay. So, for example, Miranda rights.
Okay.
Why is Miranda rights calling Miranda rights? Most people don't know because
you're talking about and explain, because there's some people.
okay.
It's explain to the audience Miranda rights.
Miranda
most
rights.
people know that, but a lot of people don't. So explain Miranda rights in from a 10,000-foot view,
it.
so people
So
understand.
anybody who saw Law and Order or any of these Hollywood criminal shows or movies, before a criminal gets arrested, they say you have the right to remain silent.
Remain silent.
Yes,
Right.
anything you say may be and
Used
will
against
be
you in the
used
court
against you in a court of law.
Correct.
And that's really all they have to say to you before they put handcuffs on you, because
Correct.
at that point you are what's called in custody, okay? And meaning you cannot leave anymore. The government has you. And
So what happens when the police officer doesn't read you your Miranda rights?
so then anything you say, and you actually prove that they did not educate you, that if you say self-incriminatory statements, they should not be allowed to be used in a
Against
court
you.
of law, because it's what's called fruit of poisonous tree. Miranda was a dude. His last name was Miranda, a typical Hispanic name.
You're kidding.
Yes, that's why it's called Miranda rights. This is a Supreme Court decision, and Miranda, I think it was the Supreme Court. And Miranda, they did not read him his rights, and he challenged it on constitutional level, and he prevailed. And since then, it's called the Miranda rights. So,
Wow.
so
I did not know that.
yeah, yeah. So,
I mean, that's something you learn in law school, obviously, or no.
yeah.
Yeah.
So the criminal defense attorney, he is standing up for the criminal, but he's also doing it, whether he knows it or not. He's also doing it to stop the government in its tracks, so the government doesn't overstep their boundaries and does not violate your rights. Because if you don't do that, then the government then will be even more powerful than it is.
So you came from a communist country,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
So that's a good example, right?
Yes.
So for example, communist country,
First Amendment.
There's no First Amendment.
Doesn't exist.
Guy commits a crime or a woman commits a crime, government could do whatever they want with you.
Yes.
Versus here in the States, you
Yes.
have that right.
You have
right?
First Amendment rights, which is, I think, the most fundamental right in the United States of America. Without the First Amendment, they say Second Amendment protects the First Amendment. I don't want to get that far, but the First Amendment right in America is very, very powerful, and it is a gift to the people.
Okay. All right. So you're an attorney now.
Yes.
You're doing foreclosure law.
Yeah.
But you're like, I don't like this shit. I want to pivot. So
Yes.
how do you pivot? Like, what do you go and decide? Do you go into your own practice? What do you do?
Yes. So it was four of us, and the four of us were buddies from law school, and
Four lawyers.
yes.
Okay.
Yes. So we
You all graduated law together.
Correct.
Okay, got it.
And two of them ended up working for the state attorney's office as a prosecutor, and then one ended up in private practice, and I work for that big foreclosure firm.
And just so people understand, because
Yeah.
a lot of people hear the word prosecutor.
Yes.
The prosecutor is the one that is doing what?
So when you see the prosecutor up north in northern states, they call them district attorneys. It is a party that represents the government. So he prosecutes criminal cases. So state of Florida versus Tomas Kucera. The state of Florida would be represented by a prosecutor. He is trying to prosecute me
As a defendant.
and convict me of some crime. So
Right.
that's the prosecutor. On the other side, you have the defense attorneys or the public defenders, and they represent the rights of the defendants.
And the public defenders work for the government.
They work for the government as well.
Right.
Their office is funded by the government, local
Right.
government,
Right.
but they represent the interest of the defendants.
Right.
And again,
I used to always hear, like, if you're going to get an attorney, get someone that, was a trial attorney
Right.
or someone that was a prosecutor.
right,
Because they bring a different level of an intensity
and experience.
and experience.
Yes.
Because if you're a prosecutor,
Yes.
you've got to go in and, like, you really got to know your shit.
Yes.
You've got to be very tough.
Yes.
Right? Is that true or not?
It is.
It
It
is,
is.
right?
And as a prosecutor or a public defender, you do get insane amount of experience for very little money. But
Why didn't you become a prosecutor?
I was always,
You were not that kind of guy that
when I
wanted
was in
to
law
just, like,
school, when I was in law school, the second year and the third year, I ended up working for a real estate / civil litigation attorney. And they say that the work you do when you're in law school, your part-time work while you're in school, is what you actually end up doing. And that's what kind of happened to me.
This just came to my mind.
Yeah.
You were in law school.
Yes.
What was the percentage men to women that were in law? Was it about the same?
The law school I went to, it was about 50-50, I want to say, maybe 60-40,
Did you
60%
have any
men.
crazy stories from law school? Like, was there like a crazy chick
Okay, let
in
me
law
tell you.
school?
Yes. So there was a girl, will not name her name.
No, that's fine.
She was from up north,
Okay. Up north, like
like Michigan.
Michigan.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. She came to law school just to find herself a husband,
You're kidding.
a Jewish husband.
She was Jewish?
She was Jewish, and she would not. You could be Brad Pitt. If you were not Jewish, she wouldn't look at you.
But
And
she wanted a lawyer.
she wanted a Jewish husband who is to be a lawyer. And after first year and a half, she didn't succeed, despite her many attempts.
The poor Jewish women that are watching this right now, they're just saying, "Do I need to go to
This-
law
this is-
school?"
this is not a Jewish thing. I love I love the Jewish people, but this is what it was. And why am I saying it is that there were other guys that wanted to date her, and she wouldn't look at them, and she did not find herself a husband, and she just quit.
She left law school.
Yeah, she wasted a year and a half of her life. Her parents paid tens of thousands of dollars.
That's the most dramatic story you
Well, I
have
don't say
from law
dramatic,
school.
but you said crazy chick, so I think
Okay.
that's kind of
So
crazy.
she was crazy. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. All right.
But other than that, it was pretty civil. It was the most
But
intellectual.
it was 50-50, like guys and
It
girls
was.
that were
It was.
lawyers,
But
right?
the funny thing is that when you graduate, the women kind of dissipate. You don't see them much practicing law. They say they
You don't. You see more
That's right.
male law. I mean, you see female lawyers,
Yeah.
but you see more. Why is that?
I think the grind of the work. It's not an easy work. You do have to put in a lot of time and hours.
I mean, I know women attorneys. I definitely know.
There are
There's
some.
plenty.
There
of
are
women
some, but there's
attorneys.
more men than women, despite the fact that when you go to law school or you go to a graduating class, it could be 50-50. But a lot of the women end up working for the government. They may end up teaching, or they might.
Like I know a few female attorneys that they do corporate law.
Right.
They do some do real estate law.
Yes.
Right. One's a judge. She's a judge.
Yes.
She wanted to go like all the way, and she became a judge.
Yeah.
And she's like a powerful judge in Miami
Yeah.
now. Actually,
Yeah. I
So-
probably know her.
you probably do know her. Yeah, she's she's pretty intense. She's a Jersey woman. I know this lady. I'm like she's intense,
Yeah.
and she loved law, and she now is like a judge in one of the districts down here in Miami. I don't know,
Yeah.
and she does like crazy cases.
Yeah.
So yeah, very interesting to me, like the dynamics of which way attorneys end up going after they graduate law school. But
Yeah.
okay, so you go with the four guys.
Yes.
What happens?
So, and then, there's another saying that says, partners are good for dancing. That's about it.
Okay,
And
what
we
does that
slowly fell apart.
Okay.
Well, partnership in business are very hard to find, and they're all good people. It's just we didn't get along when it comes to running a business and working together as lawyers in a law firm. So from the four guys, we split into 2 and 2, and then a few years later, the 2 and 2 also split into 1 and 1 and 1 and 1. So that's what happened.
Why do you think that happens with lawyers where they don't have like multiple partners? Because like if you're a lawyer, you can join like a big group,
Yes.
right? And you can become partner,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
But other lawyers choose to just be private, solo. So
Yes.
why is that? Is it just because of the conflict of working with another
No,
lawyer?
so there are two different tracks. So if you take the big law firm track where you start working with them, and maybe after 5-10 years, whatever it is, you become a partner or named partner or equity owner, they will work you to death. Like you will have to work so many hours and bill so many hours, working the weekends. And I'm not saying for 1 or 2 years, like sometimes for multiple years
to become like a partner.
to become a partner, because you're
Okay.
just a unit of production for
Right.
them,
I think of that show that I love that show,
Suits.
Suits.
Yeah.
I loved Suits. I loved watching Suits. I mean, that's pretty much how it is, right? That's if you want to join a firm. I mean, besides the drama. and all that,
Yeah.
But that's pretty much how it is if you want to like go
There's a
and
slight
join.
there's a slight similarity. Yes. Yeah. I know, you know how many people.
And that was in New York City. I mean,
correct.
Right.
And everybody had to be a Harvard graduate.
Right.
So yeah, that show. You know how many people approach me and say, "Hey, you know what? I want to be a lawyer." I said, "Why?" I saw the show Suits.
Right. I love Suits. It's a great show.
I know it's a greatly made show. Now, if you're actually a practicing attorney and you see,
So what do you think when you watch Suits?
Right. So let me tell you, what we laugh all the time when I think one of the characters' name is Mike, right?
Yeah.
And when
Mike's the smart guy who can read.
and who's not a lawyer at
He's
all.
not a
right?
lawyer,
Yeah.
but he can read like
Right,
you know,
and then
10,000 words a minute or
Specter is the partner.
Harvey Specter.
Harvey
Yeah,
Specter.
yeah,
right?
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
sorry.
Right.
So they have a stack of paper like this, which is a corporate settlement after
Yeah.
I don't know 5 years of litigation, and he sends it to him, and he's like, "Looks good to me." Now those are the things we laugh at because you would take a week to read this
to
thing.
read that.
Yes.
Yeah, but the guy was really smart. I mean, he was able to do it.
No,
Those people don't exist in
of
real
course
law.
not.
Right,
And-
right,
but
right.
It's like Ally McBeal, you know.
Yeah.
Those are the lawyer shows that are to entertain. But Suits is very well made, and apparently, I think it has made a lot of people to go to law school
Yeah.
because they saw that show.
Yeah.
And I think
it
those
has.
people will be heartbroken.
I honestly, like when I watched Suits, I was like, man, I should have been a lawyer.
Yeah.
You know, I could have totally done what these guys
Yeah,
were
they
doing.
wear $10,000 suits and no,
It's a good life. They go
Yeah.
to great restaurants. They drink scotch.
That's
You're
right.
like, man, the lawyers have it the best.
That's right. That's right. And you do have name.
And I have a lot of friends that are lawyers, and they do okay. They do pretty well.
Sure.
So lawyers do good.
Sure. No, they can. Yes, of
Yeah.
course, of course. Again, it's
How
a good
much can
profession.
lawyers make, like financially? Like, what's the low end to the high end
All right.
for a lawyer? And look, I'm not putting you on the spot here,
Yeah.
but like, what do you consider like a lawyer that's like, hey, you're not really doing it too well versus a lawyer that's crushing it?
Right. So, when we graduated out of law school, the prosecutors or the public defenders, they would make $37,000 a year.
What?
Yes.
As a lawyer?
As a prosecutor,
As a
public
prosecutor.
defender, you're
Oh,
still
because you're working for the state.
correct.
Right. They don't pay money.
No,
Right.
no.
That's why a lot of people don't go into government work.
Yes, yes,
Okay.
yes,
Makes sense. Makes sense.
You are going there for the experience or
Right.
for the love of the job.
Because you're getting a lot of cases. Because
A lot of cases.
everybody needs a public defender when you go to jail.
Yes.
So, like, if you get arrested,
Yes.
you're going to get a public defender. So
Yes. You don't have to
you're-
worry about running your law firm.
Right. You don't worry about getting
expenses.
clients, right? You're going to
Nothing.
always have clients, right? But they pay you garbage.
They pay you garbage.
And that's why people go there for the experience
the experience or for the love of the job. Some people stay with public defender's office for their entire life.
and make no money.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. They just
Okay.
love the work. They love the job. And so
So
say-
on the low end, you can make 30, 40K.
yeah, yeah. Let's just say today, in today's money, maybe it's 45 grand. I don't know.
Jeez.
And then on a high end, yeah, if you move, say, to New York City and you're a named partner in some major law firm, yeah, you're making millions.
Like what? 3, 4 million a year?
Yeah, 3, 4, 10. You know, if you do
And that's like, and your partner? Or you're just.
right, if you do products liability cases, like a big cases, tort cases,
Right.
where you get paid based on how much you win. I mean, I know attorneys here in Miami-Dade County, a boutique law firm, 5 lawyers, maybe 10, 15 support staff, and they would win verdicts against insurance companies, meaning you get paid 50, 60 million dollars, and the law firm gets 40% of that.
40%
Yeah.
of 50 to 60 million.
Yeah.
And then they
Actually,
split that amongst the partners.
I take it back. After first 1 or 2 million, it goes down, but we're talking about millions of dollars per case.
So the typical cut that an attorney gets, right? Are these PI attorneys, like
Yes,
personal
yes.
injury attorneys?
Personal injury, yes.
Okay. So if you had a rank, which attorneys make the most money to the least money as an attorney? Like personal injury guys, I hear make a fortune.
Look at Morgan and Morgan.
Right. Yes. They're making a killing. They're making.
I think he's self-proclaimed billionaire.
Right.
John
Okay.
Morgan.
But
And he
but
made
a
himself.
private personal injury attorney can also make a ton of money. Correct.
Yes, yes. And he's private. He started
So
by
why didn't you
himself.
go PI? Like why did you go?
Like I said, I fell into real estate and civil litigation, and I used to have a buddy.
But look, if you go to PI,
yes.
I'll say this: you have gone to the dark side. Would you agree?
Again, I don't. The personal injury,
Personal injury.
You're going.
If you fall
You're
in
going
Walmart.
against insurance companies.
Okay, hold on. Let me break this down for you.
Okay.
I'm a guy. I'm walking in Walmart. I slip and fall. Oh, I hurt my back.
Right.
I call Morgan and Morgan or one of these law
Yeah.
firms, and I'm like, I hurt my back. Oh, no problem. We need you to go see this chiropractor.
Yeah.
The chiropractor's hired by the personal injury guy. It's probably worked for that firm.
Right.
He goes and sees that chiropractor.
Yes.
Chiropractor says, oh, yeah, you need 8 visits. So he sees the 8 visits. And then after, he's like, okay, I can't do any more for you. Now you need to go see a pain management guy.
Right.
So then they go and they see a pain management guy.
Yeah.
So then that patient who fell in Walmart, oh, I have so much back pain, is now seeing pain management. Well, pain management does their injections. And then guess what happens? After those injections, they're like, well, I can't do anything else for you. You need to see a specialist. You need to see a surgeon.
Yeah.
Then, of course, the surgeon happens to work with the PI firm.
Uh-huh.
And the surgeon comes in and says, you know what? You need a 4-level fusion on your back. So then they go and they do a 4-level unnecessary fusion on that patient. That patient goes, has this massive surgery, and then they sue Walmart for, I don't know, $1 million.
Right.
And the PI attorney gets $500,000 or his cut for that.
Yeah.
How is that not a freaking scam?
So let me tweak a few facts in there.
Okay.
Personal experience from what I have seen. Okay, there are certain companies, Walmart and Sam's Clubs are one of them. They're not easy to sue. They fight till the bitter end.
Right.
So personal injury attorneys will not stake a crap shitty case against Walmart or Sam's Club. Secondly, you're not really suing Walmart. All these retailers, all these big companies are insured. And who owns the legislature in Tallahassee? There was a big tort reform back in the day. It was heavily sponsored and lobbied for by the insurance companies.
Okay.
So medical malpractice, for example, there's a cap of $1 million in the state of Florida.
Right.
No matter what happens, they can literally kill you on a table. And another thing, unless the person that died in medical malpractice claim, so to speak, is survived by a spouse or a child or a dependent, nobody can sue. Nobody can sue, which was also which is also part of the tort.
That's a loophole.
No, that was a part of the tort reform that was pushed on, sponsored by the insurance companies. So again, there's this. Okay, do you remember the McDonald's case? Lady spilled coffee in her lap. She got $1.5 million or something.
Yes.
Okay, it was a big case. Why was it such a big case? Why did it get so much publicity? Because insurance companies spent, I don't know, tens of millions of dollars publishing that lawsuit. So they got sympathy from the public. But what really happened was, if you look into it, and this was an old lady that wasn't even driving. She bought herself a hot cup of coffee from McDonald's.
Well, the coffee was like really hot or something,
Super hot.
Right.
And she wasn't even driving. They pulled over. They were standing still. This was the cheap styrofoam cup with a shitty little lid on top.
Right, I remember.
And she wanted to just open it so she can drink that coffee. And it was so shitty, it spilled in her lap.
And she got burns.
The burns were insane.
Right.
And by the way,
coffee was too hot.
Right.
From McDonald's. Yeah.
Too hot, and the cup and the lid were too cheap for them to save on money, so they can sell you cheap coffee. She got insane burns. When you see the pictures, it's disturbing. All she wanted from McDonald's, pay my medical bills. They said no. I said, please, I can't afford it. No. What did she have left? Hire an attorney.
Right.
He got her over $1 million.
Wow.
When the money hit, she wasn't even alive anymore.
She died.
Yeah, she was.
Where'd the money go?
To her heirs, to her estate.
Holy cow.
So again, I know what you're saying, but I always see it from both sides. And this is one of the things you are going to kind of learn in law school, the critical thinking, meaning I understand the public defender's job. I understand the criminal defense attorney's job. They must defend the criminal, because if they don't, and the state can do whatever they want, next thing you know, even the innocent man gets framed by the government because his constitutional rights are not there.
Not there. Yeah.
And they must be stood up for by the defendant.
So, all right. So let me ask. Okay. So you then pivot into basically real estate law, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So now we've had this phenomenon here in South Florida, right? Mamdani. Well, that's just the most recent example, but I've been seeing it for years, where everyone is leaving New York, New Jersey, and they're all coming to Florida, right? And why are they leaving? Property taxes are too high. All the governments up there are Democrat, right? Cost of living is way too high. They can come to the state of Florida. They don't have to pay state income tax. So, I mean, that's the main reason. Also, the weather's good down here. So you've seen this like massive migration
since COVID.
Really, right? Because even COVID, everybody was dying up in New York. I mean, how many people died in New York and New Jersey because of COVID, right? Because they weren't allowed to go out of their house, right? They had to wear those masks. So what did they do? They all came to Florida, right? Everybody moved to Florida. So what has that been like for you as a real estate attorney? Like, what has that done for your...
Right. So big portion of what we do is real estate closings. So obviously that was an influx of real estate closings in the state of Florida.
So business skyrocketed for you.
Yes. And now with the election of...
so now you're starting to hit the glory, right? You've been grinding all these years as a foreclosure attorney, making no money. And now you get this... I mean, is that really when you started making money?
I started making okay money when I started being self-employed, and but not from the beginning. Like, it took several years.
Took years, right? You got to go market yourself and do all that.
So when you start on your own, you hang your shingle, so to speak. there's nobody there who wants you.
Right.
You know,
Right. They're
nobody
like, who are you?
nobody knows you,
Right.
right? So you're relying on a little bit of cheap marketing, you know,
The Google,
Google, your
you know,
friends recommending you
right.
somebody.
And slowly people started to hear about you.
Yeah, and that goes with anybody. You know, I
Right.
don't want to place myself as a lawyer celebrity, which I'm not,
Right.
but that's just natural.
Is that your aspiration to become like a lawyer
No,
celebrity?
no. But
Okay.
it's
I mean, you have 5,000 followers on Instagram.
oh, I
That's
do.
not bad. Yeah, yeah, that's pretty good. It's pretty good.
Wow, I didn't even look at that.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so um,
I mean, I think you'll probably get more after this podcast, I hope. Or maybe you'll get less. I don't
I
know.
know. No, but so I started making okay money when I became self-employed and like several years into being self-employed. Yeah.
Okay, but then COVID hits,
Yeah.
and then it's like a boom for you,
Yeah, the
right?
real estate transactions accelerated for everybody, including the title
And I didn't know
companies.
this. All those New Yorkers, they love Palm Beach, they
Well,
love Broward. They've come here to Miami too, especially recently, but a lot of them went to where you are,
yeah, but
correct?
we do closings in all 67 counties of the state of Florida, so it doesn't matter where you live. You know, after COVID, everybody works from home. We do go see our clients for the real estate
All right,
closings.
tell me real quick, what's a crazy closing story that like if you had to pick, what was your craziest closing story with one of these New Yorkers that moved to South Florida?
New Yorkers moving down to South Florida. I mean,
And
my
I'm sure you have a
first.
ton.
No, they're gonna be disappointing to you. But uh,
And it's okay if you don't have one off the top of your
yeah,
head.
crazy. I mean, we have deposit disputes. It just results into civil litigation over a deposit dispute. You know, it's not crazy. You know, criminal defense attorneys, I'm sure, have crazy stories. You know, for me, um, I don't know. You know what I get to see through my cases and through my work.
Well, here's an angle that I'm
Yeah,
thinking about. You know, a lot of these New Yorkers, they move to South Florida, right? They've been living in the cold.
yeah,
They come here, they're in the warmth all of a sudden.
yeah,
A lot less clothes in South Florida, right?
yeah,
So I had a few guys that I met up in Boca, probably like over the summer. They came here with their wives and they were like, Joe, we want to go out in Miami. And I'm like, dude, you guys are headed down the wrong path.
yeah,
And I could tell. Now one of them actually got divorced. So, but they moved.
yeah,
So there's an example of like someone that lived in New York, moved to South Florida, they moved to Palm Beach,
yeah,
and then what happens? They end up getting separated. They just bought a house.
yeah.
So do you guys get involved in that at all or no?
No, I mean,
You're more on the closing
I'm on
side.
closing side. You know, sometimes I'll help with divorces as well. I do handle divorces. It's not necessarily my cup of tea
Why
because
why don't you like divorce?
there is a lot of toxicity. There is a lot of animosity, and you have two people that at one point loved each other dearly, and now it's not just fight over money. It's fight over children. It's fight over emotions, and the wounds are so deep. They're much deeper than if I.
If you had to like rank levels of toxicity,
Yeah,
because you just told me foreclosure,
yeah.
like you pretty much had to sell your soul. We
No,
talked about covering a criminal case. Those are, you know, if you're like a criminal defense
yeah,
attorney, that's pretty dark.
yeah.
Divorce sounds like it's
I
pretty
think
dark. How do you rank them?
yeah, no, I think divorce, even though
It's
it's
the worst?
yeah, I think so because it takes, even though it's a civil proceeding, the amount of
Have you ever been married?
yes, I have.
You have.
Yeah.
So you've been divorced.
Yes.
So you have personal experience in that.
Yes. Yes, I do. And I have to say that my divorce was smooth. You know, it was not a fight at all. But
It was a loving divorce.
if you want to put it that way,
Okay.
but what's that's okay. So my civil cases, people sue each other over money, breach of trust, you name it. Divorce, it's much deeper than that. It's money, it's breach of trust, it's breach of love,
It's
and
children,
it's children, and it's children, and then
property.
the property. But the two people that loved each other dearly at one point now hate each other, and in many cases they literally wish death upon each other.
Are
And
you in good terms with your
yeah,
ex?
yeah,
Yeah.
I am.
Okay. And
Yeah,
you never had kids together.
we did.
You did.
Yeah, yeah,
So you have children.
yeah. I have two boys. Yeah,
Okay. How old are your boys?
17 and 21.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay. I didn't know that.
So it was very civil. We're still in very good
Awesome.
terms. Yeah.
Awesome.
But the divorce law is very toxic. It's very bitter. It's very expensive, and I think some attorneys, not all, obviously, are not quite forward and frank with their clients when they
I've heard some divorce attorneys will charge like $30,000, $40,000 for a
Oh no,
divorce.
you see, you have divorces worth of hundreds of thousands of
But then you
dollars in
see
attorney's
those
fees.
ones like, oh, you can get divorced for $100.
Yeah, that's
Like
uncontested
that's
divorce with no children, no assets.
right,
Yeah,
right.
but
It's
but
when there's children and there's assets,
yes,
that's when it gets
yes,
hairy,
yes.
right?
There's no more simplified dissolution of marriage available to you,
Right.
and it gets ugly, and it gets ugly for years. And the amount of money they spent on their attorneys instead of spending it on their children or the future of their children. And the sad part is that they just don't care. They just want to hurt each other.
Right.
And that's the saddest part about these cases.
But
And
it sounds like in your case you were good because you were pretty civil,
no, I
right?
was good. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Do you
Yes.
think you were good because you were an attorney and you
No.
understood the loopholes
No,
or
no. It's just I don't know. I guess you don't know how to pick them.
yeah.
So
Well, it's funny like, you talk about divorce. Everyone I know is divorced now.
right.
Everybody's divorced.
It's so easy. Yeah.
Nobody's married anymore. Or
Right.
people are married, but it's like it's so hard to stay married
Yeah.
today.
Yeah.
It's so much easier to get divorced. And there's so much marketing out there to get divorced.
Yeah.
So it's like
It's easy to give up.
it's easy to give up.
Yeah.
It's hard to stay.
Yes.
But sometimes you can't stay.
Sometimes you can, but I think when you look 50 years back, you didn't have that many divorces, and I think it has to do with my opinion. It has nothing to do with me being a lawyer.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
My opinion is a deterioration of
Family values?
family values, standards as a human, and I don't think there's nothing wrong being traditional in many things. You should be progressive in some, but I think it's so easy to quit and to give up and walk away, and the social media don't
Doesn't
help.
help.
They
Does
don't
not help at all.
No.
Well,
So
another topic that's
yeah.
really big right now, I'm curious to get your thoughts on this, is immigration.
Okay.
Okay. So as a lawyer,
Yeah.
right? This is a crazy time in the United States right
Yes.
now, right?
Yes.
You have literally millions of people who have come to this country legally, illegally.
Yeah.
Some came because their countries were just in a state of turmoil. They had no other option.
Mm-hmm.
Others came because they wanted a better life.
Yes.
Others came because they wanted to take advantage of the American system and they
Yes.
didn't want to work,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And now Trump comes into office, right? And he passes these laws and he's like, hey, if you're an asylum, you're going back.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe not. He starts with Venezuela. He starts with certain countries. And all of a sudden, there's ICE agents roaming the streets.
Yes.
And people are like, this is against my rights. I'm an American citizen.
Right.
Or I'm not an American citizen. I'm a resident,
Yes.
or I'm not a resident, or I'm a temporary asylee. When these people come to you as a lawyer,
Yeah.
I mean, you see those cases. What do you think as a lawyer? I mean, are these people pretty much done now with Trump in office? Like, what are your thoughts
So
on that? And look, it's
I
a
know.
very
I'm
touchy
going to answer
subject
this. Yeah, it is.
because I have a lot of friends.
Yeah.
Look, my freaking landscaper got deported. Like, he was a good, hardworking guy.
I'm sure.
He was a great guy, right? And I was like, I didn't sign up for that. Like, I didn't want him to go.
Right.
Like, I want the drug addicts to go. I want the people that are here trying to kill people. Yeah, I want them to go. But the hardworking ones, there has to be a path.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You can't just send everybody back.
It's just the people that are here illegally, so to speak. There's no ID that says I'm hardworking, and the other one has I don't work at all. I just want to take advantage of the social benefits, right? And I'm going to answer this question as an immigrant because I wasn't born and raised.
Right,
in this
you weren't
country.
born here.
Right, I'm going to answer it as an immigrant, and I'm going to answer it as a lawyer.
I mean, my parents weren't born here. Am I getting deported?
No, you were born here, right?
I was born here, but
Okay.
my parents weren't.
No, but once you're born here, the U.S. Constitution still has not changed, even though there's an attempt to change it. To amend U.S. Constitution is so difficult. The moment you're born in this
It
country,
requires Supreme Court to change that, correct?
no. The Supreme Court can strike different provisions of the law, but to change a U.S. Constitution, you have to have a majority of the states agree to it. It's insane process to get it done, which is why
A lot of states, if Trump passes a law, for example,
Yeah.
the state of California might say, nope, what is that called when that happens?
They could say that it's unconstitutional.
It's unconstitutional.
But in order for Trump to pass any law, unless it's as an executive order, the Congress has to pass it first. The Congress, the Senate, and then it goes for Trump signature. But if you're like, let's use you.
Okay.
You're born in this country.
Yes.
The U.S. Constitution, which is the supreme law of the land, states that if you're born in this country, you are a
American
US citizen. That is what gives the government the power to deport. So don't worry, you cannot be deported because the INA no longer applies to you. I am a naturalized citizen. I wasn't born here. The difference between the two of us is I cannot become the US president. You can, right? You have to be
God
born
forbid
in this
if I became the US president.
Right. And can I theoretically be stripped of my citizenship? Yes, under two conditions: treason, or I lied on my naturalization application, and the lie would in fact disqualify me. Those are the two grounds. You cannot be denaturalized unless you commit some kind of act of treason.
What about somebody that came here 30 years ago?
Right.
Right? Because you're hearing stories of people that came here 30, 35 years ago that are getting deported.
I know. So unless the INA, the body of law that I just mentioned, unless the INA has a provision in it that somehow legalizes that man who came here 30 years ago, there's very little he can do. It is unfortunate, but if you don't like it, here's what I say as an attorney, by the way. If you don't like it, you must petition the government, the Congress in Washington, D.C., to amend the law that applies to immigration. You cannot demonize the enforcement agents. And I'm not saying I'm a pro or against ICE. I'm just saying that if they're enforcing a current law and you don't like it, change the law. Don't kill the messenger, so to speak. And purely statistically speaking, it does appear that the prior administration did allow millions and millions of illegal immigrants into this country. Yes.
Of course.
And there is only so much. My personal opinion, not a lawyer. My personal opinion is that there's only so much this country can sustain. And I'm pro-immigration because I'm an immigrant myself, and I think this country became what it became through immigration.
Both my parents were immigrants.
Look at every one of us, in this town, especially in this.
Trump's wife is an immigrant.
Of course. I mean, he liked the East European girls, right?
Right. He liked the East European
Ivana
girls.
was Czech.
She was Czech?
Yeah.
I didn't know
Ivana Trump.
that.
Yeah. 3 of his kids speak Czech.
You're kidding me.
Yes.
Oh, that was his second wife.
Ivana was his first wife.
First wife.
Yeah.
First wife.
Yeah. She was a Czechoslovakian skier.
You're kidding.
Yeah. He liked the Eastern European women.
And now, where's Melania from?
She's
Latvia?
Yeah, or I don't
Moldova?
know. Yeah,
one of those.
she is. Yeah. She is a Slav. She's a Slav, just like
she's
I am.
beautiful. I mean, she's
he liked the Eastern European look. That's all I can say. But 3 of his kids, including Ivanka, are half Czech.
You're kidding.
Yeah, and
they have Czech citizenship.
I believe they do, and they speak some Czech because I think he said once. Oh, actually, the kids stated that when they were little, he would always send them to the Czechoslovakia or the Czech Republic for summer break.
All right, so let me ask you this question. I'm so curious.
Yeah.
So you're a lawyer, right? Even though you don't specialize in immigration, you understand the law.
Yeah.
All these people in this country right now that maybe have temporary status, maybe they have, they're in the process of getting their residency.
Right.
Okay. Or they are here illegally and they're hiding.
Right.
What do you think is going to happen?
So the ones that are in the process of becoming legal, or they're in the process of changing their status from one to another, they are here legally. Again, speaking as an attorney, and I always have to change the hat. The ones that are here illegally, they are subject to deportation. Yes. Now, is there already an order from immigration judge? You're deported, or there isn't one? And once the person gets captured, they're going to be detained, at the, what do they call it here? The Alcatraz.
The Alcatraz.
Yeah, Alcatraz in the
which is insane if you think about what that is.
I know.
Like, it's a holding facility for all of these people to go there. If I was here illegally, I would be like, screw it. Don't they have a self-deport option where you could just go and literally be like, hey, and they give you money to go back? Wouldn't that be the smarter thing to do than to get stuck in that prison for I don't know, 2 weeks or whatever the case is? And apparently the conditions are awful. I don't know. I've obviously haven't been there, but I've heard that the conditions are really bad.
Yeah.
So wouldn't it be better for these people that are here illegal to be like, hey, I'm just going to go back to my country. Maybe in some cases they can't.
Right.
Like, for example, Haiti. Haiti is going through like a major problem in their
Yeah,
country
yeah,
economically.
yeah,
You know, it's not a safe place to go.
yeah.
But like if you were from like another country which was like pretty decent, wouldn't it make more sense to go back to the country? I'm asking like as someone that's kind of curious.
Right. I just I think realistically they don't want to, because even if you're detained, you still have a shooting chance of becoming legal or having the immigration judge rule the other way, where if you were to return to your country, you will suffer um, uh, persecution or even death, which a lot of these countries, it is true. And those are few of the grounds for seeking an asylum in this country. So I don't know what the conditions are in that Alcatraz.
Real quick, talk about
Yeah,
asylum. So if you're from another country
yeah,
and you say I'm seeking asylum,
right,
what you're saying is my country is so dangerous
yeah,
that I cannot live there,
right,
right? So you've seen people from some of these countries claim asylum,
right.
and you look at some of these countries and you're just like, is it that bad over there?
Yeah.
So isn't that a gray
They,
area?
they almost never meet the burden. They
Right.
almost, over 90% of the asylum applications get eventually denied.
Really?
Yes. So when you start the asylum application process, you can get the work authorization, you can get the driver's license, and even social security number to be able to
To
work here
work in the US.
while you are
Waiting.
for the asylum application to be either approved or denied. And that buys them some time to be here. But ultimately, over 90%, and I want to say over 98% of all the asylum applications submitted will get denied because they cannot meet the burden of what it takes to actually receive the asylum status. It's an
Is there a
unfortunate
way
statistic.
around that?
No. Again, changing the law or coming from a country where you actually meet the burden. So again, coming from communist Czechoslovakia back in the day, it was easy because communist
Like Cuba,
country.
for example. Cuba's
Right,
a communist country. Many
right,
people came here from Cuba, but now the Cubans are getting sent back to Cuba.
right.
Like you hear it every day.
Yeah,
Cubans are being deported.
yeah. Because there used to be a policy called wet foot, dry foot,
Right.
if you remember, and that was repealed. But what it meant back then is the moment a Cuban touches the soil of the United States, within I believe 1 year and 1 day they get a green card, which means lawful permanent residency. That law has been repealed. So to meet the burden that you must meet to get the asylum application approved is very, very high, and most people do it hopefully with the knowledge from their attorney that it will probably be denied. But in the meantime, they are here legally, working legally, and
Paying taxes.
paying taxes, correct,
Right.
and moving around legally, driving cars, but ultimately, statistically speaking, usually the application will get denied, and they will be ordered to return to their country. Now, whether they do or not, that's
It's up
when
to
they
them.
can become illegal. So
Right.
from legal, you become illegal because the judge already ruled denied, and you must leave. And if he doesn't leave, you become illegal, subject to deportation.
What about those cases where, you hear this all the time? They come here and they get married,
Right.
right? I'm gonna buy my green card. I'm gonna go and get married, right? You see it all the time. I know plenty of stories of people who've come here and they have literally paid someone.
Right.
It's a whole business
Now
apparently.
that's illegal.
Now, of course it's illegal,
That's
but it
illegal.
happens.
If you marry for
And
love,
they're like, "Oh yeah, we're in love." But it's all bullshit.
right,
It was just to get the papers.
right.
So, let me ask you that. What do you think's going to happen now with all these new changes in immigration law?
Right.
With people that are coming here hoping I'm going to meet someone,
Right.
get married who has citizenship, and I'm going to get my status.
But here's the thing, I don't see any changes to the immigration law. They talk about the immigration law a lot. But as far marrying a US citizen and becoming legal by virtue of the marriage to a US citizen, that is still the same. The only thing that changes is the application fee, the waiting period. But if you marry a US citizen and number two, you enter the country legally, then you can become a lawful permanent resident and ultimately a U.S. citizen. Now, if you enter the country illegally, you cross the border without being inspected by the border patrol or the Coast Guard, whatever,
Right,
the
right.
U.S. government, then even a marriage to a U.S. citizen will not help you.
Wow.
Yes, so that's one caveat. If you pay somebody to marry you for a green card, yeah, you're committing crime, and so is the person that received the money.
Correct.
But let's just presume they truly love each other and they met each other, I don't know, on Lincoln Road. And so,
On Lincoln Road.
bad example, right?
Is
So
that where they go?
I don't know, that they used to be a place to hang out back in the 97, 98 when I came here, but it's not the same anymore. So, but what I'm saying is that the marriage, the green card through marriage, is construed by the U.S. government. So when you fall in love and marry a U.S. citizen, you should be allowed to stay here.
Wow.
That's what it's designed for. Yeah.
Wow. So it'll be interesting to see, what happens in the next year to 2 years
Yeah.
with
Yeah. But
with
I
all
don't
these
see
things. I know
the
there's a lot of people that are nervous, but you haven't heard, you still hear it in the news, all these things about immigration.
yeah. It's media.
Let me tell you. Let me tell you. So I've lived in Miami now 20 plus years.
Yeah.
Every time you ever been to the Ultra Festival? I don't know,
Ye-
you know what that is?
Yeah.
It's like that big EDM
Yeah.
techno festival. Well,
Yeah.
let me tell you, I remember like 2 years ago, not to the festival, but I went downtown because it's always downtown, and you couldn't go anywhere. Like the streets were so crazy, you would be stuck in traffic for like 3 hours. Well, let me tell you, Trump gets elected. I went the same time. I had to go to some meeting downtown.
Yeah.
The roads were empty.
Yeah.
It was like nobody was here.
Yeah.
And now I'm thinking to myself, like, okay, the World Cup is coming here next year,
Right.
right? You're going to have people from all over the world coming here.
Right.
Are people going to want to come to the United States with all these crazy immigration laws? You know,
Yeah.
it's,
I think a lot of it is.
I think for me, what personally like hit me the hardest was when my landscaper got deported.
Yeah.
I could not believe this was a hardworking guy, had
Yeah.
a family,
Yeah.
built a landscaping business,
Yeah.
and I found out he
Oh,
got
yeah.
deported. I
No.
was like, holy shit.
I met a lot of people in this country, not just in Florida, that are good, honest, hard-working people, and they were just unfortunate to be born in a country where they didn't like it, bad country, whatever it is. I'm not gonna name names, and they somehow got here and they built themselves a business, started a family, and are genuine good people.
And what do you do when you got to go back to your country and start over?
It's gotta be absolutely life altering, obviously,
right.
heartbreaking. Yeah. So
Well, the one other topic I wanted to talk to you about real quick was this whole
okay.
debate, right?
Yeah.
So the right to carry arms,
Yes.
right? And here in Florida, this is a right to carry state,
Yeah.
right? You're allowed to carry a weapon.
Yeah.
But it's very controversial because you have all these people moving from up north where the gun laws are extremely strict, and
Right.
then you come to a place like Florida where you can just carry.
Yeah.
So, what is happening with gun law right now? Because I have a lot of friends. They're just like, yeah, I have several guns in my house,
Yes.
and now I personally don't have a. I have no problem with someone having a, but I just felt like the responsibility of having a gun in your house. You really got to know what you're doing because you hear the horror stories of, the kid gets into the gun drawer and
Yeah.
he pulls out the gun himself or
Yes.
whatever
Yeah.
or somebody by mistake.
Yes.
So for that reason, I chose never, and I never had guns in my house.
Right.
But here in Florida, it's like the thing. I know a guy, he has like 8 guns,
Yes.
Yes,
So do I.
and so do you. So you're a gun advocate.
I'm a advocate, but a responsible advocate. So the example you just used, that a little kid goes into a drawer, pulls out a daddy's somebody or himself, that's a scenario that should not happen because it is illegal. If you have a minor, again talking like a lawyer, if you have a minor in your house, you cannot have that is loaded and is unlocked. So you can have without ammunition, or you can have ammunition without a. But the moment the two are together, it has to be locked up.
All right, but let me ask you,
where the minor cannot get to it.
how many guns do you own? Like, you have to tell me the exact number, but you have a few.
Yes, I do.
Okay.
Yes.
Do you think it should be so easy for someone to buy a gun?
All right. So we have the Second Amendment.
I understand that.
Okay.
I understand that.
But
But then you see these happening all over the United States,
right.
and you don't hear about it in other countries. I'm not saying it doesn't happen. It
Right.
does happen,
A lot
but
of
it
it has to
happens
do-
a lot more here.
Correct.
right?
A lot of it has to do.
And
with,
I'm for the Second
yes,
Amendment.
Yes.
But you gotta like start to look at things, right? Like when some kid goes into a school, 8 people.
Yes.
My son goes to Florida State. Like there was a in Tallahassee.
Yeah.
There was a crazy gunman going out shooting people. should it be so easy for people to get a? And his parents were like law enforcement.
So, define easy, right? In order for you to buy legally, in talking about Florida, but I think, yeah, Florida, um, you cannot be convicted of felony
Okay.
or a misdemeanor domestic violence, okay? And you obviously cannot be adjudicated insane or mentally ill.
But you
Other
can't
than
look
other,
that up if somebody's mentally insane. Like if someone
yeah,
has bipolar issues, how, like you see what I'm saying? It's
right,
like,
right.
how do you know if someone's a whack job and they're coming into your store to buy a?
Right.
You don't know.
Right. And without a concealed weapon permit, you do have to wait several days to get the. You buy it, you leave, and you come back a few days later. But if you have a concealed
Because
weapon
they run a
permit,
background check
no,
on
no,
you.
no. The background check is run right there and then. But this law was, I believe, enacted after the attempted on Reagan. Don't quote me, but it's for the loonies that right now are angry at their spouse and they're gonna go to the gun store to buy today. So if you don't have a concealed weapon permit, they won't sell it to you today. So you have to come back a few days later, and that's a cool down period, right? That's the reasoning behind it. But should it be easier? No, I believe they should run your background, right? I do.
In every state?
Yes, in every state. That's my opinion. I don't think a criminal, especially violent criminal, should be allowed to purchase a. That's my personal opinion. But at the same time, you do have the Second Amendment, which is on federal level, and then there have been many, many laws in Washington D.C., in California, in Illinois that have been overthrown and declared unconstitutional. As
Because in those states, it's not as easy to
it's
get a
not
gun,
as easy, no, not
right?
at all.
Like New
Especially,
York,
especially Washington D.C. or New York, yeah,
right? You
yeah,
can't just get a.
right, right,
But in Florida or in Texas or a
yeah,
lot of these southern states, you
right.
can get a.
But then
Right?
look where the crime is lower.
Where is it lower? I mean, in
Usually in
Florida, you had a massive
Right. But when you look at the
in Broward County.
total statistics by the FBI, usually the crime is lower in pro states. I'm not talking about as a advocate. I'm talking pure
Because
numbers.
people are like, I'm not going to. Everyone has a. But then I can counter that and say, look what happened
Right.
in Florida, in South Florida a few
But
years ago at that school.
despite that, the gun crime is lower, and the violent crime, not just gun crime, the home invasions are lower in gun-friendly states and jurisdictions. And again, now I sound like a loony. I'm not. I'm talking pure numbers because I like statistics.
Right.
They tell the tale. So, and a lot of these school, yes, they're very, very sad and tragic. But
Like, how do these kids get access to
right,
the guy who shot Trump? Right? How did
right,
he get access to a? The one who shot Charlie Kirk. How did he get access to a?
right,
Right?
right.
I mean, we just keep seeing
Yeah.
things
Yes.
happening,
Yeah.
right? How are these people getting access to these? That's the question, right?
Yeah.
Are they going to states where it's easier to get the and then bringing it back to their states? That's
It is possible. It is possible. But again, these are
and
the
I'm not saying I'm not for
yeah,
I am
yeah,
for guns.
yeah. These are that did receive a lot of publicity. There's many other or
Chicago.
yeah, Chicago, yes.
Look at the violence in
And
Chicago,
look,
and that's a very anti state, isn't
very
it?
strict. It's very strict.
So there you go.
Yes.
Right? So that kind of contradicts what you're saying where the pro states look at Chicago.
Right.
Everybody's got a but
Right.
they've got the
Illegally.
illegally.
To get a deal in Chicago is much harder than in Austin, Texas.
Yeah.
Or Miami, Florida.
All right, well,
So
last part. So, I appreciate you giving me your insight on. So,
yeah.
you're a Brazilian jiu-jitsu two-time black belt. I was looking at your ear and I was like, that's the typical ear of a wrestler.
Yeah.
So, how did you get into that?
Yeah. So I used to play tennis. Right. This is actually sort of an interesting story. I used to play tennis. I was an avid tennis player 3-4 times a week. And then I always like fighting.
Yeah.
I like
I
martial.
actually thought you were Brazilian when you told me you were Brazilian.
I know a
jiu-jitsu
lot of
guy.
Brazilians.
Yeah, and your accent, like I was like, oh, he's Brazilian,
Yeah.
but you're not. So
No,
so how did you get into it? And like,
So
and,
I always
and
like
how long
martial
have you done
arts.
it?
I've done it for about 13 years now.
Wow.
And it is my passion. It is what keeps me sane. It is what keeps me healthy and strong.
How often do you go?
I used to train 6 times a week. Now I
Wow.
downgraded to like about 3 times a week.
Wow.
3 times a week. But
And you're 51.
yeah. yeah.
And you're like
I
tearing.
don't feel it
Are
though.
you like an instructor, or are you
Yeah,
like?
I help teach the class as well. There's
I put
two
my
gyms.
kids in jujitsu.
Yeah.
They got the shit kicked out of them. I
Oh,
would
right. No,
say.
everybody does.
You
Everybody
know,
does. It's the beginning. It's the
it's
beginning.
the beginning, but
Yeah.
you see some of these kids in jujitsu, and they're
It's
just
a
like,
magic. It's magic.
it's magic to
What you
watch
can
them.
what you can
What a
choose.
guy who knows jujitsu
Oh,
can do. It's like
to,
you don't want to fight a
no,
guy that
no,
knows jujitsu.
it's and you have to feel it. You have to feel to literally be owned by another human being. There's nothing you can do,
Have you ever
especially
used it?
in the street.
Yeah.
I don't look for fights, and the fights don't look for me.
Oh
If you know
wow,
what I
that's
mean.
what a statement.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Spoken like a true
yeah.
Brazilian jiu-jitsu guy.
So yeah, it never came down
So
to me.
you've never had to use it.
I never had to use it. And look, I weigh 220 pounds. Yeah, I got the cauliflower ear, and I'm very civil. I don't look for things.
Yeah.
But if
I
it
got a
comes,
guy for that though. If you want, I know all the
we'll talk.
plastic surgeons.
We'll
So
talk
if you
later.
want to fix it, like,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. We'll
or
talk
maybe you
later.
like that's part of your look.
Yeah,
I'm the
it's what
attorney
it
with the
is.
cauliflower ear.
It is what it is. But it's an awesome sport, and ever since I discovered jiu-jitsu, so to speak,
Yeah.
I have completely forgot about tennis. And I say it like when you are. This is my comparison, and it's kind of funny. It's like you're with the woman that you think is the one. You love her. She's beautiful, and you think you're going to spend the rest of your life with her, and then you really meet the one.
And your one is Brazilian jiu-jitsu. Is that what you're saying? Like
Yeah, the
that's your
previous one was tennis.
and
And
now
ever
it's
I remember
Brazilian
when I
jiu-jitsu.
discovered jiu-jitsu, I was still a white belt,
Yeah.
and I would play tennis. I would still play tennis, but I was actually thinking about grappling and fighting somebody in the gym. And I was like, "Oh fuck." So ever since I started jiu-jitsu, that was it for me. It gives me my strength, my stamina, my sanity. I met a lot of good friends through the sport. The
That's
beauty
awesome.
about jiu-jitsu is that on one mat, you're fighting another lawyer, a doctor, a criminal drug dealer, a bum.
You're all the same.
We're all the same on the mat.
Yeah.
We're
Yeah,
all the
mine's
same.
soccer. Soccer's my
Yeah, that's a great
passion.
sport
So
too.
yeah,
That's number
I
one in
played
the
that
Czech
for
Republic.
right. No, I know. I've played that. I played with some good Czech players over
Of
my
course,
career.
of
So,
course, yeah.
well, hey, why don't you give a plug? Tell the audience where they can find
Oh,
you.
okay.
Website, all that good stuff.
Thank you so much. So, yes, like I said, I do my professional life is an attorney. I do real estate closings, civil litigation, contracts, HOA, condo, some divorces. And it's kuceralaw.com, www.kuceralaw.com. And I can be found on Instagram as well as a Kucera Law or Kucera Law Firm, something like that. Last name is Kucera.
All right, man.
So,
Well, continued success. Thanks for being brave enough to come on the
oh,
show,
thank you.
and yeah, we'll see you next time. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you for having me.